Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is an extra special one. I picked out the newest Pat McGrath palette, the Celestial Odyssey palette. So we're going to swatch this baby out. We're going to put together a look on our face, dive right into the video and see if this is worth the price and if it can create a plethora of looks for us. So if you are ready, let's begin. So let's first take a look at the packaging. It's the same packaging as the palette and we have the ingredient list written here. Now this palette has a shelf life of 12 months and it is made in USA, and this is the palette. So it comes with like a red packaging with a lot of, Pat McGrath is known for her packaging. So yeah, I absolutely love the packaging. It is pretty on the thicker side, but not as thick as her mothership palettes. So if you want like a reference, I have the Bronze Seduction palette and it's not as thick as that, but pretty thick. Definitely thicker than the last year's holiday collection. Now, if you look at the packaging, it's definitely bigger, on the bigger side, and I'll show you the palette also. This is the mothership palette, the original palette, the $125 palette, and this palette retails at $78. Now the only thing that is missing in this palette is the Blitz Astral formula that she's known for, but this comes with like an array of shades. It has beautiful mattes, it has beautiful shimmers and top of things. The thing that I know will drive me crazy is the layout of the palette. Now this palette comes with like a string attached just so that it stands out. If you do not want that and if you want to be like rough and fold the palette all together, just cut the strings off. Yeah, because it will like flop, and that's one thing that I do not like. Okay, I pretty much, when I looked at the pictures for this palette, the pictures seem a little more on the pastel side, a little more on the brighter side, but in person this looks pretty deep, I would say. As I can see in the viewfinder, I think you are getting like a exact representation of the colors that I'm seeing right now. So it's neither too dark nor too light, but definitely has wearable shades too, but pretty deepening shades too in the palette, I would say. Now let me just compare it to the other palette. The original palette pan size is definitely bigger than the pan size of this palette, but saying that, this is $78 and it comes with more product as compared to this. I would anytime prefer this palette over this palette. If she could include a little bit of Blitz Astral formulas also mixed in, I would be the happiest person. But otherwise it definitely does come with like a huge mirror. Talking about the mirror, let's take the mirror's protective layer off because we all love that. So it comes like with a beautiful mirror, like a big mirror. This palette is definitely more on the shimmer side rather than on the matte side. So this palette has 4 mattes and the rest of them are shimmers. The thing that would drive me bonkers about this palette is the layout of the palette. I would have loved if she would have like saved this space and put it right in the center. I understand that she wants the logo, but she can put the logo anywhere else rather than in the center. The layout will drive me crazy, I know that. But yeah, that's just me, but yes. Now this palette does have 4 mattes, out of which 2 of them are more on the pinkier side and 2 of them on the brown side. I would have really preferred if she could have like eliminated one of the pinks from here and would have given like more on a little more on like a muted blue or a muted green. That would take this to another level altogether, just because we do have those jewel tones also in this palette. But nevertheless, that's one thing that I'm seeing right off the bat. The second thing, I hate when palettes come with like this kind of a shade. This is good enough for me. It's a beautiful, like a brightening shimmer shade for the inner corners. I don't know, I would love if she would prove me wrong, but I prefer like if she could have like taken this off for another matte, it would have made the palette more versatile. So this whole collection comes with the eye palette as well as 2 quads for the eyes, and she has 2 face palettes which has like 2 blushes each and 1 highlighter each. I did not pick that up just because I know I have one blush of hers, which is plenty for me. I have a lot of blushes in my collection and I just wanted to know her formula. I'm good on that side, I think. Otherwise, apart from that, she also has like a highlighter, which is $60. I know Pat McGrath is pricey, but $60 for a highlighter is way up there for me. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy about the palette. Now let's swatch this baby out and see what's the pros and the cons that we can find out of this palette and whether you should pick this up or not. I would highly recommend for you guys to use any coupon code that you can find on the internet to purchase this palette, just because you would save quite a bit. Even if it is like a 10% off the $78 palette, you would save a lot. So let's get going, let's get swatching. I'm going to swatch row by row. So I'm first going to swatch this row, second row, and then third row. So let's begin swatching and then we'll do a look on the eyes. Super creamy. As per the swatch, I can see that it is super, super creamy. So let's begin swatching. Let's do here. I mean, she's known for her, you know, eyeshadows. So I do not expect anything else than just amazingness. Look at those swatches. I mean, it's crazy. Look at that. The shine is amazing and it's all one swipe swatch situation going here. So this is Saturn Sunset. This is Rose Venus and this is Gold Galaxy. I just got the palette like today afternoon when I was working and I was like, let me finish out with the work so that I can play with this. Now let's move on to the next three shades, which is this shade, this shade, and this shade. I'm generally not a big fan of like a black shimmer, but this seems super, super dimensional. So this one is Noir Moon. Oh, look at the dimension. I don't even know whether you guys can see it or not. It has a ton of blue and silver specks of sparkle running all throughout the swatch. Oh my. The next shade is Bronze Nova. That's stunning. That's beautiful bronze shade, right up my alley. And the last shade is Nocturne, which is a beautiful matte brown shade. So that's the first row swatched. Now let's move on to the second row. I'll give you a close-up of all the swatches all together. Right now, because I do not have that much real estate on my hands, I'm gonna keep it row by row. So let's move on to the second row. The first shade is Galactic Glow, which is that champagne shimmer shade. Oh, it does have a little tinge of like pink in it. Can you see that? I mean, I did not wash my hands, so you can definitely see the previous swatches. I just rubbed it with my paper towel. The next shade is called Sunrose Amber, and this is more of that mid-tone rosy brown shade. The next shade is Lotus Luxe. Oh, that's stunning. It's a beautiful, like a pink cranberry shade, I would say. It has some kind of a duochrome flip to it. So that's how the swatch is. The next shade in the palette is called Lunar Haze, which is more of, oh wow, look at that. I love that shade. It's more of like a taupey lavender purple shade with a lot of silver in it, I would say. But it looks more like a taupey purple. I love that. So the next shade is called Electric. And this is more of like her, I would use that a blush anytime. It looks actually like my Cherish blush. It's more of a matte pink shade. And the next shade is called Heavenly Body. And this is, oh wow, stunning. This is stunning. That's what it is. Beautiful. It's one is like a, I would say a soft pinky golden shimmer, but very muted too. I love that. I just love that. So that is the second row swatched. Okay, now let's move on to the last row, and these shimmers are so creamy. Ooh, that's stunning. Okay, let's move on to the last row, and the first shade is called Bronze Eclipse, and this is like a deep brown bronze shade, stunning for like a smoky eye look. I can rock this look all day long, like one shadow look. I love it. The next shade in the palette is called Solar Flare. Oh, this can be a little interesting. This was the shade that I was not a big fan of, but this seems like it has some kind of a duochrome. It has very peachy flip. I thought it was more on like a champagne shade. Definitely has more of a peachy flip. Wow, for like an everyday look, that might look stunning actually. So the next shade is called Nirvana, and this is a bluish. Oh wow, can you see that? That is stunning. That exactly looks like my tops shade. Wow, that's stunning. Ooh, excited about that. What is up with me and my blues? I mean, I'm never a blue and a green person, but this looks stunning. Now let's move on to the last three shades in the palette. These shimmers are spectacular, absolutely stunning. The next shade is called Corrupt Copper, and this is more of an orangey copper shade. Beautiful, that's what's lovely. The next shade is called Palladium. Ooh, cool tone lover's dream. Wow, that blue and that would look stunning. And the last shade in the palette is called Citrine Envy, and it's that green shade. Wow, look at how stunning that's swatched. Definitely that blue and green like are so smooth, I can't even say. Like a lot of these shades are very smooth and very like high dimension shade, but these are all like one swatch situation. Stunning it is. I love the shades that were chosen actually. Just to make this palette a little more versatile, I would have definitely preferred like one of the pink mattes, and I'll swatch both the pink mattes in front of you so that you guys can see what do I mean by that. Like, it's definitely different because this pink you can use it for like warm tone pink looks, and this is more of a cooler pink. But again, there are like two pinks in the palette, you know. But yes, let me just wrap off everything and then we're going to create a look today out of this palette. But definitely stay tuned. I'm going to do a 5 look with one palette using this palette in the near future. So stay tuned for that too. But let me just wash off everything and let's put this baby on our eyes. So let's begin. I cannot wait. Let's put this shade Electric on our crease for more of like a pinky transitioning shade. Today, I'm just gonna like put maximum amount of shades on my eyes just to test out the shades, how it blends, how the shimmer performs, and I'm gonna do a more of a curated look in my 5 looks video just so that you guys can get like variety of looks if you are planning to purchase this palette, or even if you do have these similar shades in your collection, you can find inspiration in that. I definitely do prefer Pat McGrath's shimmers a lot because I definitely feel like Pat McGrath aces in her shimmers. So I can definitely look past on the palette if she puts a lot of shimmers, because I can collect all the shimmers from Pat McGrath, and her mattes are super versatile too. It's very buildable, and if you take like a very light amount and blend it, it can definitely act like a transitioning shade too. Even if it is like this deep brown, if you apply it with like a very light hand, you can definitely use that as a transitioning shade. That's the beauty of her mattes. So we have that beautifully blended all across the crease, and it's not skipping anywhere. It's beautifully blended. That's what we are expecting out of Pat McGrath, at least. You know what I mean, right? So now let's move on to this pinky brown shade from the palette. I'm going to take that on my lower lash line. Look how pigmented that is. It's definitely a beautiful transitioning shade. My kids are running across the whole house. So if you hear thumping sound or like running around sound, it's my kids. So excuse that. Let's see if this pink is different than that on the eyes. So let's take this pink and then I'm going to take that on the outer corners. See, that's what I mean. Like, it's definitely a cooler pink, but do you need both of these? You know? That's stunning, but now let's take this deep brown shade and see how deep it can go. Look at that. I'm gonna place that in the outer corners. Definitely very deep. See, the way it's building up is stunning. Beautiful. That is stunning. Wow, I love that. How can I not? How can I not? I'm going to take this blue from the palette. You guys know how I love to match my top. Oh my god, that's stunning. Look at that. Oh, that's stunning. Oh, that's absolutely stunning. I'm just going to take that deeper brown shade just so that I can like blend the outer corners and so that there's no harsh lines. That's it. I'm going to take this shade from the palette and this is called Bronze Nova. I don't know whether it's going to be too dark for us. Oh my god, that's stunning. Oh my god, it definitely has that pink shift to it with like that bronze effect. I cannot. Look at that. My eyes are not even primed. That is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I don't know whether you can see that pink shift happening or not, but that's beautiful. Okay, let's move on. Let's take this shade, the champagne shade in the palette, and this is called Galactic Glow, and I'm going to put that in my inner corners. Beautiful. That is stunning. And then just so that we put something on the lower lash line and test out a little more shades, I'm going to take this shade from the palette, which is called Lotus Luxe. It's that cranberry shade from the palette. I'm going to take that on the lower lash line. There's so much of dimension, I cannot even. I'm going to quickly finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. And that's my final look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I absolutely loved playing with this palette. It definitely has more dimension than the pictures. I would definitely say that. I cannot wait to play with this even more. I couldn't see any fallout on my, underneath my eyes or on the face. So it definitely sticks on to it. But nevertheless, I use the shimmers with my fingers. I always do. And the mattes are absolutely blendable and buildable too. I used 6 shades today and none of them gave me any problems at all. Yeah, so I absolutely love it. I'm definitely going to use this holiday season. I can definitely see myself using it so much. You can create so much of looks out of this palette. By the way, I finished off my face by applying Pat McGrath actually. So I have 1995 on my lips for the lipstick, and I have her gloss in the shade Wicked Whisper. And for the blush, I'm using the shade Cherish from Pat McGrath, which is more of the warm pink shade. I absolutely love the way it came out, even though I am not like big on blues and greens, but I personally feel that these are like amazing. You can definitely mix and match and create it more wearable, but she also has a ton of pinks, which is like her staple shade. You guys have seen like so many divine roses have come into the collection, and if you could not invest in those $125 palette and you still want to test out a formula, I think this is an amazing deal to have. For $78 you get 18 shadows, 18 Pat McGrath shadows, and that's stunning. That's absolutely stunning. For her Blitz Astral formula, I would still say if you cannot afford that $125, there are a lot of indie brands on my channel. I'll leave a few in the iCards above which compare very, very similar to that. And I absolutely loved this, and I love the value that you can get out of this palette. So that's all for today, guys. Stay tuned for my 5 looks using this palette in the near future. I'll definitely do it in the next week, I would say. Let me know if you guys are picking out anything from this collection from Pat McGrath, and do wait for her sales. She always have some kind of sales happening on the website, so do wait for that and you would absolutely love the palette. Now finally, if you did like this video, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!